And we're live. Facebook, hi everybody. So nice to have you here. Usually people, they look at this later after the fact, so don't worry, Jen. You can go on your page, on my page, and click share if you want. You don't have to, you can share it later. So I'm going to do the introduction of our guests today, our esteemed guest. I'm always excited. This is her second time on here, but Lord knows I probably forgot everything she told me. So we're going to go back through it like you do. But before I do her intro, I have to give a shout out to our one and only paid sponsor. Don't want to lose our paid sponsor because I forget to mention. One second here. So here we go with the paid announcement from our one and only paying sponsor making this all possible. ahabroadway.org. That's your place to go if you're looking to take a chance at comedy or you want to bring your comedy to the next level. They're in New York and they're a judgment-free, friendly place for seniors, 55 and plus, veterans, and even children to learn comedy, acting, improv. So ahabroadway.org, classes starting September 18th and 20th. I know for veterans and seniors, classes are $10. So that's very affordable. They have a professional comedian, headliner, Chris Murphy, who teaches their comedy basics classes. And we'd love you to become a customer of theirs. I'm a graduate of one of their shows that Vanessa Hollingshead out of the East Coast. I'm sure Jen K's heard that name. I took a class from there and I'm a graduate of Aha Broadway. So thank you so much for being a sponsor of Comic Spot and our military shows. Today, I have to flip over and do the intro for our amazing guest, Jen K, who's in the other box over there. And here is the intro that she gave me, the updated intro for this visit, second visit. So she says, Jen has performed at all of the top comedy clubs in Manhattan. Did you hear this, you guys? She's performed at Caroline's, Dangerfield's, New York Comedy Club, Broadway Comedy Club, Greenwich Village Comedy Club. Jen took her humor to the Atlantic City casinos and the Mohegan Sun, as well as the Funny Bone in Connecticut. Jen opened for celebrity impersonators, the Edwards twins. Jen was a finalist in New York's Got Talent. Oh my gosh, congratulations on that. Semi-finalist in Last Comic Standing and on Sirius XM Sway in the Morning radio show live at Caroline's. Jen was part of the Best of the Fest in the Burbank Comedy Festival and was a semi-finalist in Last Comic Standing at the Mohegan Sun. Jen has hosted and produced comedy shows, and she has more than that in the pipeline, as she told me before we came on. You guys, welcome to Comic Spot, but more importantly, welcome Jen K. Yay!
Thank you for having me again.
Oh my gosh, yes. You're a New Yorker, right?
Yeah, born and raised in New York.
What borough are you from, or what part?
Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you were born and raised there, right? Both born and raised.
Yeah. Still being raised, but you know.
It's a process. I'm 70. I'm still adulting, sort of. Yeah, it's a road.
I don't want to grow up.
No, I don't want to grow up. I don't. Toys R Us kid forever. Even if the store is closed, we're still Toys R Using.
Always.
So remind me about your childhood and getting into comedy, because I want the backdrop before you get into the rest, please.
Yeah, just always, I come from a funny family, creative. My great grandfather created the Wolf Form company for the mannequins that a lot of celebrities use. So back in the day, they were always like like in like show businessy, and my mom's funny. My uncles, they were funny guys, and just, we're always joking around and having fun, take things serious, but always laugh about things. And that was incorporated, in my life. And then as I got older, I realized, maybe I could take this further, and slow process. And then, I just started writing, and a producer that I've worked with on a sitcom pilot, Todd Gronick, one day he just said, "You're doing stand-up. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're doing stand-up. Here's classes, improv. I'm paying for them. There you go." And I mean, that just lit a fire. And that was it. And it was slow in the beginning,
And what was his name again?
Todd Grodnick.
Wow, thank you, Todd, for finding such great talent.
Thank
Wow.
you. He's he helps me a lot right now, manages me, and it's just, work, professional, but he's also a good friend. And I mean, I always say, like, if he pushed me, because it was always on my mind, but he just said, "You're doing this," and then that was it.
So you went from sitcom pilot writing into stand-up. Most people do it the opposite way. How lucky are you?
Yeah, it was, but it helps now, because stand-up, it helps you with writing, and I took some classes, and so now it's helping with the sitcom pilot to write it, because your mind just develops when you're doing stand-up.
Yes.
And it's helped a lot. And I mean, the world needs laughter. Like, I love this. When I'm not performing, I just don't feel like myself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I look for people to make laugh, especially like in the pandemic and depression. And the more depressed I am, I have to make, there's been days where I said, I have to make 100 people laugh today. That's how depressed I was, like it lifts my spirits. And I was so depressed. I had to, like, some days I know it's make 10 people laugh. Some days it's 100.
Well, I see your posts. You make a lot of people laugh.
Thank you. So you grew up in a funny family. How did you go from growing up in a funny family to sitcom writing? What happened there?
Well, it's just, what comedian doesn't want their own TV show? And, the New York's Got Talent, Cooper Jordan, he produces that. And I mean, without him, I mean, he's helped me so much along the way. He's great. There was some judges, Donna Moore, who co-writes with me on the pilot. She was a judge, and she said to me, I'll never forget, she says, "You remind me of the comedians from the 50s that should have their own sitcom." And then she just said, "Maybe I'll start writing it with you." And then I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know her. And next thing I know, she contacted me. We start writing, and I go to Todd with it. And, now we're in this whole mix together. And, we take it from there and see what happens with it. But it's just little by little, the right person sees you, and then you go to somebody else who could help. And hopefully, something comes out of it. I'm pretty confident with it. But
So
it's just
you have
a little break.
You have a sitcom that you're writing, you're in the works of writing it.
Yeah.
And how far along in the pipeline is it to being picked up and put on air?
Picked up, hopefully, we have to pitch it. But that's the goal, to, find somebody that's gonna like it, Netflix, streaming it, whatever, and like it and pick it up. And it's just, we're confident in it. And it's just, can't go too much into it, but that's, that's the goal.
That's so great. Congratulations. You
Thanks.
moved here probably 6 months ago, was it?
About 8 months ago.
Okay.
November, so yeah.
And you came from Queens
Queens, yeah.
all the way to
difference.
Vegas.
Yeah.
And you've been on some pretty good shows, right? Here in Vegas?
Yes, I have met a few comedians who have been very helpful. And, it is different here. You know, it is the clubs, in New York, you know, you got the bringer shows, you have auditions. You know, I don't know about it, you know, I used to intern at Greenwich Village Comedy Club, do the check spots, and which that I learned a lot from. If you have a chance to do check spots, do it. That
Oh,
teaches you so much,
does.
you know.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, sometimes in clubs you don't have this, but a check spot is usually the last spot. And that's when the waiters are going around, waitresses, and they're going around with the bill, and people are focusing on, are they getting charged? Their credit card didn't go through, a lot of distractions. And if you can do a guest spot, you can do any spot.
Right, that's right before the headline that goes up, because they want you know, everyone focused. And it did teach me a lot, because I didn't know what to expect. I heard horror stories, and you know, for me, it was like a regular spot. I mean, I just grabbed their attention. You know, you switch it up a bit, because again, in the beginning, you know, it's easy when they just hand their credit card and go off, and they don't care how much they spend because they're drunk, and it's like, hey, just take it, you know. But I learned a lot from check spots. You never know how long you're gonna be up there, because it all depends how long to pay the bill. And you know, then you just get that light and wrap it up. So it does teach you just discipline up there, and just keep crowd work. It helped a lot, you know. I did a lot of crowd work with it, and I thought it was fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
One time they let me do the check spot after the headliner got off the stage, and the whole audience came for the headliner. When she was done, they were done, and then they put me up during the check spot. I'm like, I tried, but
Hey, any spot is stage time, right?
right, that's right. So you've accomplished a lot of things in these talent contests, talent contests. Talk to us, people watching. What's it like to get this far in comedy competitions? What do you, in your eyes, what did it take? What did you do right? What did you learn you could do better?
Well, New York's Got Talent, I found just on Google, sent an audition, and I see, you know, I get picked first, so I go there, I do 5 minutes, and I realize it's like America's Got Talent style. So then I realize the audience votes, and there's judges. So after the first couple of rounds, you know, I move on. I'm like, I better start inviting people, you know. So that was fun, because you got to get feedback from people who never saw you, and strangers just coming up to you, you know, hey, I want to take a picture with you. Oh man, you were funny. I didn't like that comment. You know, I was like, it's just, that's everybody's opinion. It was fun. And I just prepare, like last comics standing at Mohegan Sun, it went from like 5 minutes to 10 minutes, 15. You just, you know, I'm clean. And, you know, I go up there, just, these are my friends in the audience. We're gonna have fun together, gonna make you laugh. I try not to think of it as a competition, because then you're just gonna focus more on, oh man, I want to win. You know, I want to do this. Oh, that one person was funny. Damn, the audience laughed more at this person. And then you can't think about that, because everybody's gonna be funny in their own way.
Exactly.
So I didn't focus. I watched the other comics, but I didn't focus on how funny they were. I just made sure I went up there, did what I had to do.
And then you were in the Burbank, you made it to the best of the fest at the Burbank Comedy Festival. Was that the one that just happened?
That was last year's. You were in it too this year, right? We just went to I just came back from Cali, 2 weeks ago. We went to Burbank Comedy Festival. It's always a fun time.
Yeah, I didn't get to go because I'm deadly allergic to the shots. So I got axed out with the
Oh.
policy.
But did you do the Zoom?
I did the Zoom part.
All right.
35 people said that they would come and vote for me if I did well enough. And one person showed up, Helene Witt.
Oh, Helene, I know Helene. I've done shows with Helene, yeah.
She showed up like a trooper. That was my only vote, so I didn't move on.
Uh,
It's nice when you mentioned earlier that at one of your competitions, New York, in the New York one, New York's Funniest,
New
that
York's
you moved.
Got Talent.
Say that again?
Oh, New York's Got Talent, yes.
Thank you. That you moved on without anybody there to vote for you.
The first couple of rounds, yeah, and then I realized I was like, oh wait, the audience votes. Let's come on, guys, come on.
Isn't that a great feeling when you move on and nobody was planning on voting for you, but you got their vote?
No, it is, and it was fun, and I loved it, and I love Cooper. He's great. We work together. We produce shows together. We're hoping to do some stuff out here together, and just keep a lookout. Maybe we'll do Las Vegas Got Talent. You never know. So
Oh, that'd be so great.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I know that Las Vegas is very different than New York comedy. Getting booked is, it's almost like you have to be friends or in the right circle. But, like when I got here, I thought that I knew quite a few people and it would be easy. And it took about a year for people to catch on to who I was and start putting me on shows. But once they do, then you get on a rotation. But yeah, so yeah, and the bookers have all changed. Clubs have changed, shows have changed. So I'm sure you're picking up who the new bookers are and the new shows and locations. But hit me up if you want to know anything about any of them that are out there, because I've been around, I've interviewed most of them. I can point you to the ones that I think are the more ethical ones.
Thank you. I'll take you up on that offer.
All right. Do
But I mean,
that.
if it wasn't for the local comics that I met who have vouched for me, like I appreciate that so much, and there's good people out there, because a lot of people struggle. That's why in New York too, I always wanted to help others. Because I got this far in this club. Okay, you need some tips, so I'll put you on the show. And just put them on shows, and it's fun. This everybody, I mean, I know some people, they look out for themselves. You can't blame them. It's show business. I mean, I'm not gonna, knock them for that. But there are a handful that they do look out for others, and
Yes.
you don't forget those people.
Don't. Like when you've got people who are, so ethical and they're thinking of others instead of themselves, they really stand out in your mind,
Right, and I want to. When if I do something and start producing, those are the people I'm gonna think of. Come on, I got you.
Yes. And so like that should be encouragement to all of us that put out good vibes, because like Jen just said, those vibes are going to pay off dividends. She's writing a sitcom right now. And do you think she's going to think of you if you jacked her out of a $50 pay for featuring or headlining? No, she's probably not.
Didn't mean it like that. I mean, but yeah,
But we got to treat people good, even, and you should treat people good just as a policy, but also, it comes back. Karma will come back, and you want to be putting out good karma.
yeah, always. I mean, even if I'm always gonna be, no matter who you are, I'm still gonna be polite and thank you. It's just should be like that, especially like again, show business.
Yes. What are some things that have been silly that you've seen happen when you've been at a show or contest?
Silly.
Silly or goofy or scary or weird, hard, stupid, scary. What's the goofiest thing you've ever seen go down?
Well, I mean, I heard that one of the shows I was supposed to be in after a class, like a graduation show years ago. Unfortunately, my uncle had passed. I couldn't make it, but one of the comedians was a clown, and they said, don't show up in outfit. Don't do it. She showed up in her clown suit. But like personally, I mean, horror, if you said scary, producing shows and people run the light. Don't do that. Don't run the light, people. Don't do that. I mean, just this chick, I mean, I can't even remember how long she ran the light. And I was like, I'm not gonna book you again after that. And you're taking away time from others, and I felt bad that I cut my time so others could have more time. Silly, the New York's Got Talent, there was a lot of little kids there, and I've done family friendly shows. So those are the ones where it gets silly with the little kids, because it's like I just talk to them and then make them laugh, because I don't really have like too much of a set in mind for 8-year-olds. So that gets silly sometimes, and having the little kids eating as they're talking to you and then playing with their food, then just their reaction, so it's just, it's very different from like Atlantic City casino crowds. A
Yes.
Sunday afternoon with the little kids.
If you enjoy what kids do, I don't know, you're not old like I am, but there used to be a gentleman that made a good living at interviewing children, Art Linklater.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Hilarious how those went, those interviews. It'd be funny to have a kids talent interview show.
Yeah, that would be fun. See, I know a lot of the names from back in the day because my grandma used to watch the reruns with her and all the old shows. That's why I do like the old timers. And
Yes,
just that clean sitcom comedy, late night TV, stuff like that. And so you could throw some older names and I'll still know it.
so who are some of the older ones in the business that you loved or still do aspire?
Yeah, just like with like everybody was like on Johnny Carson watching that, Dick Van Dyke, all the sitcoms, Sanford and Son, it's just everything from like probably like on TV Land now.
I love Sanford and Son and Red Fox. Oh my God.
Yes. And that's what I grew up watching. Obviously, like I said, reruns, but it was funny, because to me at the time it was new, and it's still on, which I like. But a lot of people today, they don't, comedy's changed a bit, and I like that old fashioned stand up, like legit, stand up that you
Me
could get on
too.
stage, tell jokes. Like you don't have to dance or twerk to be funny. I've seen that where you're just acting funny. Like
Yeah.
I like the old fashioned, get on stage, stand there, and just tell a joke.
Tell your jokes, and you do your comedy as clean comedy.
Yeah, I do. I'm like 98% clean. I can't say
Yes,
sometimes something. I adapt to the audience.
yes.
It's sometimes in Atlantic City you get like the bachelor party coming in, or and yeah, you adjust to them, but I stay true to myself. But yeah, sometimes when you're talking to them, things change a bit, and then I go back, and then there's little kids, and I know how to adjust to them.
Yes. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you personally when you've been performing?
Funniest thing, I mean, I probably have to go back to like elementary school when we did the Chinese Cinderella school play, Chinese Cinderella, where whatever the narrator said, we had to act out. So if Cinderella was crying, I had to splash like water on her face. So the narrator says, Cinderella woke up to the rooster crowing in her ear. I had to get up, go to the end of the stage, with an auditorium full of people, students, classmates, parents, go down on my knees and yell out, cock-a-doodle-doo. And I just never forget that, because my mom, I would still picture her cracking up with my cousin, everybody laughing, and they just laughed. I don't even know how long. I just got back up and went to my spot, and that was like the talk, like Jen yelling cock-a-doodle-doo. I was like, that was my big break. right there. That's where it started.
And people still remember it to this day, I
Yeah,
bet.
they do. They do. And it was fun, but I have a recent just some people from Australia, just like the feedback with the audience, and then they laugh, and even they got my jokes, or if I have to explain it to them, and just some reactions from them is funny. It's just, you never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And that's what I love about comedy, especially live. You
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
I know you do a lot more than stand-up. I'm focusing on the stand-up. And there's one other thing that I was curious about. When you're doing comedy, you often, every comedian has one joke that rarely gets a laugh, but they kind of do it for themselves. So like I have a joke and it barely gets a laugh, but it makes me laugh. I haven't figured out why it doesn't make the audience laugh, and I refuse to give the joke up, and I don't know how to make it better. Do you have one of those?
I mean, I can't say that I do, but there's a joke where when I that one day I did it and my delivery was great with it, and they were cracking up. But then another time the delivery was a little off. So it's, it's about delivery. It
Yes,
is. So I still keep that joke because it's like one day I'm just gonna like get the delivery down pat,
yes.
and I mean, I don't want to give the joke out because then it's alone, mixes in with others. But yeah, sort of then, because then it's like you never know. Like open mics are great because then you meet other comics. You could work on your set, but you never know how a joke's gonna work until you're in front of an audience.
It's true.
That's because comics and it's a regular audience members, different mind.
No different. Some people claim that they write their jokes alone and go straight to a show. And I really don't think that's a good idea for myself. To each his own. Have you seen in your career people go from writing the material to performing it on a live show?
Like just making something up on the spot.
That, or they've never done it at a mic, never practiced it before they did it at a show.
Yeah, I've done that.
Have you?
Because again, that's how I know a joke is gonna work or not work. And you just sandwich it in, like you got your material that kills, and then you just sandwich it in the middle. So that's not what you either end with or start with. So now if you're starting off good, and they're laughing, and you throw in a mediocre joke that you're working on, they won't take it out on you too much. And then you come
Gotcha.
back with some good stuff, and it's more of a, oh, that was okay, but they'll still be on your side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
And then sometimes you make up, that's why I record every set, because sometimes in the middle, you're talking to the audience and then you just make up something and you're like, oh man, that was funny. I'm gonna have to use that. And then I record every single set.
Yes,
should do that.
absolutely. You have to record, and like if I don't watch the recording right away, I never will. But I'll get too scared to look at it. But if
Oh, yeah.
I have to make myself watch it right away. What?
Yeah, just put audio.
Yeah,
Either on your phone, you just put it in your pocket and listen to it. Especially if
absolutely.
there's a moment where they're cracking up and then you get off stage and someone's like, oh, what was that? I forgot what I said. At least you have it.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned the one person that found you and encouraged you and paid for your course to do comedy. What was his name again?
Todd Rodnick.
Todd Rodnick. And again, thank you for that. Other people that have come along to encourage you.
Family. Yeah, my mom. My mom's funny. She won't do stand up. I know some people are funnier just, with a group of people. They won't get on stage. Like I said, my uncles were very funny. My one uncle, he was a magician, and he was just funny, and he did like characters. My other uncle was very sarcastic, funny, and so I get a mix of all of that. And but my mom, she'll tell me if something's not funny. She won't let me go out there, and if I run a joke by her, she'll say if that's okay, or she'll start cracking up. And so she's never fake with me, which is good.
Yes.
Because I don't want her to tell me something's hilarious and I can't say, but no, so it's just always encouraging. And my dad's always trying to throw material. He even on Zoom shows, I never got heckled, knock on wood, but my dad during the Zoom show, he's like, Jen, tell him about my pizza. Like, like, and then he just starts cracking up and then stole the spotlight on the Zoom show. So he always tries to give me material. I tell him, just go do your own. Like, don't write jokes for me, please. He's
Oh,
funny.
God. So in your time in comedy, have you gotten somebody give you advice that you thought was the most ridiculous advice you ever heard that you never?
Ridiculous?
Yeah.
No, there was one thing that Samantha Lally, where she goes, Samantha Jones, sorry. She an improv teacher and coaching on stand-up. When I was starting out with stand-up and having to go to open mics, and I was like, I don't know if Sunday do this. She said to me, Well, maybe you don't want to perform joke, you stand up. Maybe you want to write jokes for other people. And that's when it hit me. I said, no, those are mine. Like, I'm not writing them for anybody else. Like, those are like, Gen K is how I think. And that's what kind of hit me. I was like, no, I'm going to have to do this. Like, this is me. This is mine. And that kind of like pushed me too. I was like, I'm not writing for other people. Like, the stories, it's how I think. I have very strange point of view on things.
That's really good that she said that, because it forced you into what it is that you want to do. If she had not said that, you
I
You
probably
know.
still might have still been a little lazy about having to go out and and I just like I was like, whoa, this is no, I don't want anybody else doing them.
there's two last things from you that I'd like. One is I'd like you to cover what you think it is to read a room before you perform. And the other thing I'll think of in a minute.
All right, what was that to? What, a room?
When a lot of people say, oh, you'll do better when you learn how to read a room.
Oh, read. Oh yeah. There's sometimes where last minute I'll take out a joke, because if I'm doing a joke about today's slang, and I see a crowd where people are in their 70s, 80s, because sometimes, in the afternoon crowd, we get a lot of older people. I'm not going to do those jokes, because I don't want them to sit there and just be like, what's she talking about? Because I want them to feel part of the show and laugh with everybody. So if I see a majority of older, I'll switch it up. And I definitely read a room and make sure that everybody's going to get what what we're talking about and joking about, so they can laugh with us and not sit there and look at everybody else laughing and feel like I don't get it.
Yes. So I forgot the other question. Reading a room, and oh yeah, here it is. In your life, off stage, what do you want to be remembered for? Now, I know you're not ready to die. I am. But what would you like people to remember about your comedy? What would you like them to remember about you off stage?
Just always humble. You stay humble. Never let anything get to your head. Just good person. Hold the door for people. But definitely they stay humble, because no matter any what achievements, or if somebody comes up to me, oh my God, you're my favorite, or listen, we all did a show together. Just always stay humble. Never let anything get to your head.
That's great.
You
I
know?
love that.
Stay grounded.
Before we go, is there anything you want to say as a final wrap up for people watching this? I'll let you close this out any Gen K way you want.
Just I'm all over social media at Gen K Comedy. That's KAY. And anybody in Vegas, if you're watching and you want to, give me a shot, I won't disappoint you.
I love that. I'll put that on the post. All Vegas bookers, take a look at Jen K. She lives here now.
Thank you. Yeah, I live here now. I
Yeah.
finally found good pizza too. So I think
Did where'd you find good pizza?
a place Cugino's. They should sponsor this right now, right? Let's contact them.
It
And they have
should.
a sister restaurant. I just found out, Fratelli's. And I was like, oh, because I love pizza. In New York, we got the best pizza.
Yes.
So let's hit them up and tell them they got a shout out on your Zoom talk show. All right, we're gonna tell them that.
Okay.
So, but tried it. It was good, and they got the Italian cookies, and they're from New York.
No way.
So I was excited. So now that I found pizza, should be sticking around for a bit.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Let's get behind Jen K and book her. How far will you go to do comedy?
How far will I go?
Yeah, like how many miles?
I have a car. I drove to Cali. I mean, so I will, I'll drive.
If they make it worth your while, will you fly?
Oh yeah, I mean, I will fly too. Sometimes we looked into flights going to Cali, because that drive just past the mountains, it's like, But yeah, I travel. I mean, I traveled all the way out here. We drove, from New York, so I'll drive to a show.
Perfect. I'll put that on too. I'll put that on the post right now, Jen. Thank you guys for watching. Share if you thought it was a good interview of Jen K. It's hard to make good people look bad. That should be my motto. Lord knows I mess things up. Just go with it. But Jen K, you're a doll for coming on. And
Thank
like I
you.
said, Vegas and America, book Jen K.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen K. Bye.
Bye.